All right, hey, what's up, everybody? It is Thursday, May 16th. We're going to go over some trades tonight, and then we'll just talk about a couple different EDU pieces real quick. All right, so the first thing is I'm going to cover it, and I will share this link. So get asked a lot of questions about different prop firms. I didn't put this together, somebody else did, but I'll make sure to share this in the description box down below. It has all the different prop trading companies across the top, and then a bunch of information about them through here. So not sure when the last time it was updated, but regardless, it is a really good starting point if you want to be able to just quickly be able to compare all the props. So got that. We'll share that with you guys right now. I will put this in the prop trading floor because it'll probably get lost in Stax chat. So just sharing that again. There you go. It's posted. All right. And then we'll just do this. We'll just do this first for you, Andrew. So Andrew sent me a trade that he took today. Right here, and he ended up getting stopped before the hit on the trade. So here's the trade. This is a 15-minute chart. This is right around 2 p.m. I believe, maybe 1 p.m. We'll double check. But I have the 15-minute chart up, so I know exactly it's this candle here. He enters at 15.75. And I'm not sure when he ends up getting stopped, but looks like obviously he has a 6-point stop there, and he has a just about 21-point target, 15.5 to 30. Okay. So, all right, looking at that, looking at his trade, I think I identified on the 15-minute chart this candle here. So this candle starts at 12 o'clock exactly. That looks right. So obviously the candle opens here. So it does drop down back up to here. But the thing is let's put out some new levels, right? So if his entry was 15.75, pull that there. This entry, and here was his objective, right? It was, I believe it was 37. Objective was there. So stop was only 6 points that low. He really kind of gets wicked out before he even let the trade just play out. But that'd be 9. All right, so that's his stop right there, price level 3. I just want to be able to reference this multiple times as we just through. So, all right, here it is on the 15-minute chart. He enters there, right? Okay. So I'm just reading. This trailing stop never triggered after moving 16 points. His stop loss should have been up 6 points above the stop. So it should have moved up, and it didn't. So I worked on that. Whatever to get the bracket work. But so it's an entry on this trade. On this, it's really an entry wicking down or right there. Right, and then from there it does move up. 15.70 up about 14 points. Comes back down to his entry, which even if that wasn't the entry here, I don't know exactly where it is on the one chart, but if it was this entry, then yeah, I see. Yeah, it was up. We're up pretty big. So yes, I mean you could have for sure moved your stop up. But let's just say you didn't, right? Like, let's say you didn't move your stop up after you had this action, and then you know come down here because you're in before this price action exists, right? Because the candle that you entered in on, it ends right here at that one right there, right? So the candle you enter in on, like right here, that this is all you have. So you either enter on this quick wick here, or you enter in on this one. You entered in on this one, right? And you moved up here. Like obviously you said somebody trailing stop. You know that's 20 points in my opinion. If you're getting 20, I gotta walk away with these. I mean, really, at least 10, right? Especially just knowing that, like, look at the price action and how it's kind of like waterfalling to you. You are potentially fighting the tide here. So I feel like you really knowing the environment that you're in have to probably play the stop a little bit differently, right? Like, I think that's one thing. People want to have hard and fast rules, but you consider by hard and fast like following a rule with the trend versus not. And not that this is a downward trend, but it looked like it was water falling over, right? And you kind of it bounce, 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 bounce. It's kind of like a slinky working its way down the stairs. So yeah, and then obviously we know what happens, for the rest of the trade, right? Like look on the 5. Yeah, looking at it on the 5. Right here before that big. Yeah, I mean, as you approach the 5-minute 20, and then the 5-minute 9 is crossing over. Yeah, that's a very bearish look, like for sure. So it's again continuing to watch the trade and read the price action. I most definitely would not have let it go below the open of this 5-minute candle, right? Because you see flips, and you want to see them buy the body, and if they're not going to buy the body, I don't, I mean, again, this is only on the 5, but you can tell just look where it is and look what you're pushing back into. The tide turning, essentially. That was just like one thing. That's really it. I think the other part of it that I want to call out, and I'll use this one here to make this larger, is clear this out. Actually, let me leave it. So on the 15-minute chart, Andrew has this. It looks like it's a pivot, but it's drawn right here, which ends up being about the orb high as well. Right, so you see a 15-minute pivot here and here. And, I mean, obviously what price did was if you looked at, and we'll look at a line chart in a moment, it comes down, it bounces up, it comes down, right? It goes here, right? And so this is the most recent pivot, and this is also a pivot that occurred in regular trading hours, which theoretically may be stronger. And I don't know how you're reading these typically, Andrew, but Andrew's been marking pivots on the 15 and the 30 and having a lot of success with just, letting the trade come to him. But I don't know if it's worth it to say that maybe the pivot should be here, right? Or, because you have like this sort of area between two pivots, if you want to be looking at that. With the way Han draws cake zones is this would be a cake zone here, right? Pull it up, and that's where he's basically drawing as like supplier demand zones, but based off of these like quick moves. So on the 15-minute, you have this sort of zone, if you will, that's created by this pivot. And then on the way down, you end up seeing how that same zone and that same pivot is respected versus this pivot, which is just kind of wick through, and then like drop down on. So I don't know if it's worth it to just evaluate pre-market pivot versus regular trading hours. This but like I said, we'll just quickly go to a line chart, see if I studies else very clear, right? Here it is with the candles marked out. This sort of cake zone, if you will, that I base off of how Han. So, any questions on that before I continue? Yeah, I think yeah, his entry was good. Oh, that's what I was really trying to say was the entry was good. Uh, so the entry was good, but utilizing the most recent pivot here, if we delete this, haven't interacted with that pivot here yet. And then when it breaches this pivot and starts to get bought up, if you had bought on this one, the trade would have been, of course, like successful. Right? Again, like I mean, I can see it. Like I can see how this one, it should work too. But you end up getting in here. You can barely risk that candle's low, right? And that works. But you should, in my opinion, you should have still walked away. Obviously, from that trail. But it did end up working on the retest. This time, of course, it didn't work. But we can see that now, of course. But like based off of what you had, you know, it's hard to want to go long these two candles, and then you see another red candle that actually, like at one point, this was a solid red 15-minute candle that was red all the way to down here. It's hard to say, oh, I'm gonna buy here, because the market's starting to look pretty weak, and it does. It just bounces up, and then it moves into here to create a lower high, and I was just messing around and drew that trend line there across the top on the 10, and it ended up playing out pretty well. But what I do want to talk about too, really quickly on NQ, I didn't get to take too many trades today or to look at the market that seriously in the morning. Saw this obviously, and then just things. Sorry, I was just reading. Rebar plays are actually cake zone. Yeah, that makes total sense. But I saw this move. I came back and we were like chopping around it up here, and I think I jumped on voice for a little bit like during this. But in my opinion, some easier setups than others. And today was personally a good reminder, personally, that setup. This was also a minute. All green. 5 minutes. It turned. This is the first 5 minutes. 44. So there were definitely some aggressive sells. This was just the algo. The last thing too, before I forget about trade, is I think this, because you're trying to use the same bracket, go like to right here. So you're trying to use the same bracket, and what I thought was, trying to get 21 points when you're in on this candle. If that's like, because that's all you can see, right? Is that getting in here, 21 points, like, you're basically coming back near the open of the candle that bearish. Or if you got in on that candle, same thing, very bearish candle. Up like closing it like look, but you think too, like you're still trying to get back in there. And when they get back in there, right, which they do, and I've talked about this about scaling out long trades, like if you're long targeting the open or near the open of a large candle that created a move, essentially like a cake zone way. It might be on some sort of time, maybe on the 1 or the 2. It's a little bloop, right? But that's the scale out target for me for sure, right? Because it's like, though, this was a strong spot. Like if I see price action maybe tomorrow pushing up into here or into here, like this was strong, right? And I know this was strong because it pushed price down, the sellers moved down, and then they broke a lower low. So this is a strong high, because they keep breaking lower, right? And so you won't have a strong low until you start breaking higher. But yeah, that's a big scale target, and look what happens, right? Like it wakes up there, it closes here, it pushes up, and this candle flips and then closes back down here. It doesn't get you a CBC flip, but it closes below the open of the prior candle off of a big like rejection like that. It's super tempting to sell the body on the next one, and that trend line works. I got the CBC flip, then Q at 942 and 2-minute EM cross. Only up on was moving. My runner stopped too aggressively. Trade with the 10 scale. Evergreen, nice job. Yeah, let's look at that, bro. That sounds good. So you were on the 2-minute. You caught the CBC flipping. Oh, right here. Yeah, I mean, and honestly, depending on how tight you had your scale stop, you got 88. Yeah, you got 10. Dude, this is the thing about the open too. You got 10 points on one 2-minute candle. Oh, here we go. He's there it is. Oh, okay. So you actually got in where like you actually got stopped where I thought you were getting in. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, because you got in right here. That's solid, bro. Sucks because like where you got stopped, it's almost like damn, I can take it again. Yep. It did, dude. It did bottom take you, bro. It did. It did. Damn, that sucks, man. But hell of a trade. You got your 10-point scale. This one though was like 88. You get a 10-point scale. Let's just say you get in right here, a little bit above. I mean, we'll be realistic, right? If I wanted to risk 6 points under the candle's low, that's not 87. Let's say you get in here at 92. You're at 92. Get a 10-point scale relative. And move your, yeah, if you move your stop to break even, then you're fine. I mean, up for a little bit. I mean, you could be a good 20. Maybe 15. So you got a 10 and a hard going into. Your target was 25 points and it hit, right? So originally, yeah, because you were originally in it at like, I think it's right about here, about 87, 88. So 25 points was 03. Oh, yeah, dude. No, 88, 25. Sorry, 13. Yeah, it would have hit if you held through this pullback here, which isn't that bad. It's really only about 12 points. So yeah, I think at that, at that point too, right? I think I've heard like maybe it was Lance B and like some people at S&P Capital talking about it, but like at that point, once you're so close to your objective, how much do you want to risk just to get all the way to your objective, right? Because like, let's say your target is 24 points. I'm sorry, 25 points, and you get to 24. Do you really want to risk 5? Do you really, at that point, you want to risk 100 to make 20 more? Like, you've already, because like, you've already got 24 points, so then you've already got $480. Once you're really getting close to your stop, like, and I've done it too, where I just trail, and I keep trailing it kind of like aggressively. But like, I think to a point, you really have to do that with Apex anyways, if you're within the drawdown. So it sucks because just like you have to have different trading scenarios for different environments, and you have to execute the trail stop differently depending on whether the account is under. Yeah. That's what. Yeah, I think we stole that line from Rake Trades. He said, "Don't be a dick for a tick." That's at least the first place I saw it was. So, about that NQ trade. Let's look at ES because we're looking at much stack set with all the same indicators. Maples charts. Wow, green is the and ES. ES had lots of selling, like off of VWAP, selling off VWAP, selling.
Wow.
This is the all-time high. To base on a little bit further over, and it failed, and then they rejected off. Fairly clean. This one was dirty though too. Yeah, it's the same value. Got to be careful after. Okay, NVIDIA, definitely more Thursday when the get cheap. So, NVIDIA, this is whatever the CPI pops it pulls back down, right? On the 5-minute chart yesterday, it closed higher, right? Really, it comes down here, it dips into 5-minute 20, and like wicking off, and it just goes from all of the were strong yesterday. This was an all-day trend, pretty much. Get to the then today, a lot more chop. There was a very, in my opinion, very strong, obvious looking setup here off of because through it, flipped down below it, repeatedly getting rejected over it. So I feel like this is a pretty good short opportunity. Yeah, there was a CP flip here. That one. Rejection. Finally get the flip. And you could have taken it here, depending on what risk stopped, but gave you plenty. It down, it consolidates sideways into the EMA, right? CBC flip into the EMA on the 5. You're still good, technically. Profit, depending on the risk of that. Or what position size you have left. And then it knifes down here. So obviously this knife here is important, and this is like super important on options, is that I think dabbling in options and they're not trading it, or you're not hearing as much about it. And I'm also going to discuss some options in his next session. But the big thing with options is that when you get very large impulse moves, you really, really need to scale out into those and scale out into. So these are the NVIDIA 940s, right? So maybe if you're entering puts in up here, seeing section up here, it's $10. I don't think anybody would, but possible. So okay, so this is that large impulse move. So you were got in on this like pullback area right when you see that NVIDIA was rejecting those EMAs. That's like right in here. That's right around like 425 to 430 a con. You can risk this big candle, whatever you want to do. Like only $30. Fine. You get this like massive move. Like these cons go from 439 to 790. Sure, there's probably cons that are maybe the 9.5s. There would have been one strike up. Yeah, these ones are almost $6 here, and they go to over 50. Like you get a massive move like that. Like that's just like scale trigger, scale trigger, scale trigger, get out. Because even on that massive move down, you need to keep in mind that your high of day on these options here, and then this was like just like a swing high, like it just pushed up through here, and then look what happened again. You had options sellers like sitting here as well, like the same sort of supply and demand thing works on options. These are going up like crazy because now it's like a big drive in their value. They may, and obviously the volume on them too, as I'm sure people were scaling out. But you don't break the high of day. So when you get a big move like this, and then back to here real quick. You get a big move like that, and you made a new low of day by about $3. So the actual stock moved $3 lower, which is 3 delta lower, and because of the theta decay, and probably also too to do the supply up here over the large amount of selling, right? If we large amount of selling and they keep moving it down, the bid's going to keep falling, right? So between those two, you don't make a new high of day is not a good sign for your and so that's a good idea to you have to move the top up. And okay, Han's asking about the activation fee just based off that Apex sale, bro. They were whatever $130 for a 25K, $100 lifetime for the 50K. It's the same price. The only size account that they give you the $85 lifetime is the 250. Did anyone else get a message? Dex offering to trade their crypto. That's amazing. All right, and then let's just quickly. This is the only other thing I have left to cover. 30 minutes. Really that. But there's if we go back to the or we go to ES, one thing is know that a lot of these, and one thing that I would say, and trying to pick a trade or enter trade setup or whatever, is where are you trying to go, right? So actually remember just at the we were talking about it. So when I entered in here 35, I saw that we had double bounce on top that we up. It just trailed back a little bit, pushed up, kind of trailed back a little bit, and so we're making higher highs. I thought that we were today, which is 40-ish points. So having an idea of roughly where the chart can go and where you are trying to get to, right? Because I'm not going to hold in full to make a new high today, but it's the point of I think we can get there, and I can sell pieces away and lock in profits. Where you think it's going to go is sometimes just as where you get in, because somebody might get in up here because they think it's going to go back up ever, or I don't know, maybe they just think it's going to go back up, but they don't realize that they're still haven't they still have to interact with the EMAs and all that. It's going to turn around, but they don't realize that what's going on. I guess does that I'm not. Anyways, I'm just trying to say, think about where you're entering. Risk is where you're trying to get the chart to go, and something. I also want to just for this on this. So 30-minute chart, there was a gap down for 11 and closed. Following that gap down, there was no interaction. First interaction, we typically direction of golden. I actually remember being on earlier today, Like I was sharing what I opened up AMD. That's it, and it sold off from there. Closed outside. So I'm gonna look for that gap to be if we're gonna break and side. But I'll post that on the skill for it. See, definitely repeatable. The other day, I think it was setting up for the potential bubbles that I thought might get hit. For that here. Close. No gap. Oh, gap. Gap is gap down. Get an up and filled. It was close. And came down and bounced right off of this gap. Off it. But you see though, right here, that earnings gap was filled, which was yesterday. There was a reaction. Sellers re-engaged. Also pretty common. Fill that you the red and green arrows are the CBC flip indicator, which is available in the scripts courtesy of Mr. Who. All right. Ahead real quick. Let me see what. So Naples back. But all right. On the daily, right? It was strong, right? But on the daily, you did close there. Did open here. So we still have this big earnings gap down to fill. So you can see we're trying to get the daily EMAs to cross. So if we go down to the 30-minute chart, one thing to call out is following the yeah, that's what. All right, following CPI at a close, it fills the gap. Then today, you have all the same buying gap there. Wicks here, filled the gap, try to reclaim the gold zone, and then pull out of it. Same area that launched it is the area where they were pre-market during the orb, right? Back down into close. I wouldn't, though I don't typically leave like gaps on like this, would not be surprised if tomorrow we see Meta have an interaction. Just like, and it could do anything in pre-market, like curl up or curl way down. But I think it's going to make a move, and it's going to end up where this is going to be an area. If it doesn't hold it, it'll base under it for downside. That's just my 2 cents. But also, what will matter is where this close. Like on this gaps tangent for if you like, yeah, Joe, this is just sign off now because this will probably be the last thing I cover. Microsoft daily. Yeah, same thing here. Following CPI release, right? So this is where we closed price, where we opened price. It did golden zone. even though to like the minute. Microsoft, same thing. Closed here. They opened up here the next day. Rejects and basically can't sustain price above the goal there. Then where are we in? Struggling to apps. Microsoft has to. I don't believe it's further. I have to get regular trading 70 cents. So, but you can. It looks a whole lot more clear. Rejection of that gap. Rejection of that daily chart. But if things just turn south for it too, there is a gap looming. Go to either one of those. It's got a lot of drawings on it, but big gap up here. That gap up filled here. Once filled, it fills another gap on the bearish. What happened at the end of the day? Bearish bounces up daily 20 EMA, which is up with this gap up from here. Then today that gap is filled. They close well above it. Go down to the minute chart. Off the open, it spills down. What happens? Sets up a nice teaser bottom there. Gap fill. Pushes all the way outside. All the way outside. Still closes. Right. So the other thing to note is I know I'm really the only one who marked the prior day's closing price, but this is the prior day's closing price here. As you notice, broke down through low and pre-market, backed off of pre-market right as the about to open. It's selling above. Same thing. So this was obviously very fast. But what I think was the giveaway was that we came back down, tested that gap golden zone, bounced above it, couldn't sustain price back outside the gap to gap golden zone bounce, and came back down. We're still inside the gap here. I feel like I'm rambling now, so I'll probably just like wrap this up here, guys. Super short because I didn't have a lot of trades from people, and so I didn't have a shiny object. Had a question: how often review your individual? Always have Tesla, Meta, and yes. I can just show you guys the watch list stickers. My problem is I need to clean up my drawing set because that's something, and I'll really should just do everything on your one. But I will try to go through a lot of these. I just have Bitcoin on there so I can find it. Instead of looking. CL. I haven't taken a trade on CL in forever, and so I really don't look at the chart all that much. This one's a daily review. NQ's hourly review. Get my sleep. RTY occasionally. VX and VXU I don't. So is that all? YM I try to release week, and then if not daily, and then the rest of them: Apple, AMD, Amazon. Sure, I will review that one. Review that, like, we'll review. I will chart it. I will look for just how the technicals, and especially with Apple and Microsoft, because they're two of the biggest drivers of the market. So good to know what they're up to. AMD, Amazon's an occasional one, very regular. Abercrombie and Fitch. I actually, Shiny, this is your ticker. I actually looked at this earlier today and was like, wow, like, I got this like backwards cup and handle going, like rip out or what. I looked at Boeing today too, just out of curiosity. I will regularly chart Google from time to time, Meta pretty much every day, Microsoft pretty much every day, MS, Netflix not that often, NVDA every day, and then I did SPX, buy sometimes do did them, but I will experiment. So yeah, is that the answer? Yeah, I have tick. I have tick/Q on. I have that on my vertical model. TEG, a utility company? Oh no. Utilities are hot too. Thanks. Oh goodness. Wow, up nearly $100 in 2 months, 3 months. Inflation in. Put them on the wall. I put them. G. Boom, there they are. Which one? XC. One for one. What was FBX? Oh, that's one of those ones I got. Never mind. All right. Well, y'all, that's it. Stop it. Great night, and thanks for watching.